Hey everybody, this is Stuart with Wine on the Dime, and I'm kicking off the new year with, well, a wine that I should have drank New Year's Eve, but I fell asleep before midnight. So I'm reviewing this New Year's Day for it to be out on the 2nd. It's the way it is around here. Anyway, so today I'm going to be reviewing the Veuve Clicquot Rosé. It is a traditional method champagne from Champagne, France. It's 12.5% alcohol by volume, and as I mentioned, I bought this to celebrate the new year, so I splurged a little bit. I paid $57 for it at my local grocery store. So let's take a look at this wine. And I forgot to mention, I looked up the blend on this wine. So this is made using 50 to 60 different Crus, 30 to 45% reserve wines. It is based off the Yellow Label's traditional blend. So Pinot Noir, 50 to 55%, Chardonnay, 28 to 33%, Pinot Meunier, 15 to 20%, and then there's a 12% completion of a still red wine aged minimum of 3 years. So with that being said, let's take a look at the color. From a color standpoint, I'm going to give you pale pink, no artifacts, no cloudiness. All right, so on the nose, yep, that is a very traditional method wine. So I'm getting a little bit of this kind of strawberry up front. There's a little bit of a red apple. There's also a biscuit element, like a buttered biscuit. Slightly toasted buttered biscuit. And there's a little bit more red fruit coming out now, so now I'm getting a little bit of raspberry. Yeah, so it really is kind of a really good mix of what you would expect for a still rosé and a traditional method champagne, and those being blended together. But how does it taste? Oh, I forgot to say, medium plus intensity on the nose. High acid, very high acid. In terms of the mousse, an extremely fine, creamy mousse. Like, it's just, it almost is like having a very light whipping cream in your mouth whenever you're moving it around. It has that same texture and essentially the same kind of taste. So in terms of palate intensity, it's medium plus on the palate, and this really does have a lot of like tart red elements. So there's sort of like the strawberry, this raspberry, there's a hint of like a red cherry that's there. All of those are tart, and then it kind of blends in with this just robust apple and that biscuit kind of effect, that buttery biscuit that I was telling about. All of those elements, and the peach, those really just combine together. So you can definitely tell that this is a traditional method wine, but it really does have that blending characteristic of that red fruit being added into it. And I have a feeling that the acid of that wine is what elevates those red fruits to being so tart. The finish is a medium finish. It's a dry wine, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let's get to the blick. So from a balance standpoint, full point. Even though you're really high in acid, after you get past that first sip or so, your palate basically calibrates the amount of acid. It does carry that body, because there is a lot of complexity here in terms of the body itself. So that acid really brings up that body and allows for it to kind of be where it needs to be. And also keep in mind that champagne is often served with some reasonably fatty and salty foods. So those elements are going to allow for that acid to kind of negate a few of those food elements and actually elevate the food and the wine to be approximately the same level. So with that being said, balance, full point. In terms of length, medium finish, half a point. Intensity, medium plus on the palate and on the nose, so 0.75. And in terms of complexity, I'm going to give you full point. I have a really wide range of primary fruits. I have a really wide range of secondary elements, everything from mallow to the actual yeasty aspect of this wine. So I'm going to give you a full point. So in the end, you're solidly very good, but we still have a question to answer, and that is, does this shambong? All right, so I recently did a shambong, and it actually went really well. It was the Snoop Dogg one, believe it or not, the Snoop Dogg Cali Gold. And the reason why was because it had this residual sugar in this body that allowed for it to have sort of the right type of throat feel going down, and it didn't have really any burn to it from the acid because of that residual sugar kind of acting as a buffer. This one, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit scared to do, just because this is a lot of acid, it's dry, and this has the potential to hurt. However, though, those bubbles are absolutely so fine and creamy that might actually help with this, because I won't have any of the carbonated enhanced burn that you typically get with a Chambong. I went way too nerdy into the Chambong. Anyway, let's try it out, see if it works. Cheers. Woo. Yeah, it Chambongs. It Chambongs really well, and as a matter of fact, it Chambongs so well, I really didn't get sham burps from it. I just had like a little bit, just a little bit, but nothing major. That mousse is so fine, it really does act as like a pillow for the acid going down. And then after you've swallowed, after about 10 to 15 seconds, you're actually going to be able to get some of that back on the palate just from the residual on the palate. And it's going to basically have like a weaker version of the finish that you would have if you were drinking it out of a glass. So with that being said, this Chambongs as well. Anyway, this is Stuart with Wine On That. I just realized I Chambonged an entire video's worth of money for my channel. Anyway, this is Stuart with Wine on the Dime. If you liked today's video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Have you had the Veuve Clicquot Rosé champagne? I'd be interested to know if you have. Leave a comment below, and I'll see you all again soon with another review from Wine on the Dime. In the meantime, I'm going to take this downstairs. My wife and I are going to celebrate New Year's an evening later, and happy 2023. I'll see y'all around.